Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another randomised gaming playthrough video, or long play if you prefer. I will be your commentating host for this video, Random Gamer Riven, the editor of Randomised Gaming. So we're actually going to have two versions of this long play, the one I commentate over, and if you pay attention to the card in the top right corner a moment, we will also have a non-commentated version. Nintendo asks that you do actually commentate over everything, but I'll provide a non-commentated version that won't be monetized, and it's basically purely as a footage thing if people want to see it non-commentated and also just to see the footage. Nintendo are welcome to use our footage, I might add. And I should note that this version is captured on the original PAL Nintendo Game Boy version, and we're actually using the Super Game Boy 2 on a North American Super Nintendo unit, so it's running at 60 Hz. As for those of you who aren't aware, the Nintendo Game Boy was actually a Region 3 console handheld, and games from all regions would play in any unit. I should state this video is also intended to be archival, as we are using original hardware and original cartridges as well. So this is purely an original capture. There's no emulation or anything like that in this video. And the reason we're using the Super Game Boy 2 is it's actually more accurate than the original Super Game Boy in terms of reproducing the Game Boy on the Super Nintendo. There were a few bugs with the Super Game Boy which have been ironed out largely in the Super Game Boy 2. Now, I'll actually be doing two playthroughs in this video. I'll be doing the normal run playthrough, which you do first off, and then if you run through the game again, you actually get a harder playthrough version. And if you finish both playthroughs, you can actually then access a level select for the duration of the remainder of the time you play the game until you turn off the power. Yes, sadly, this didn't have a battery backup, so once you've unlocked the level select, sadly, as soon as you turn off the Game Boy or Super Nintendo, whichever device you're playing it on, you then lose access to the level select. And you also lose access to the second playthrough as well, so you effectively reset from the beginning. So just while the start of this video begins, and I'll let the attract sequence run, just to show you the attract cycle. I believe there are 3 different attract intros, but do stay tuned to the end of the video where I'll actually be showing off a Super Game Boy Easter egg that effectively breaks the fourth wall. But you can see that at the very end. Basically, there's a very cool feature with one of the screensavers in the Super Game Boy. It's actually the original Super Game Boy tile set, but you can access it in the Super Game Boy 2 as well. And it goes without saying, if you grew up in the very late 80s or early 90s, you will almost certainly have played this fantastic Game Boy title. So I should start by saying welcome to Sarasaland. I think that's how you pronounce it. This is very different to a lot of the other Mario games in that you have a very unique set of enemies which do look really, really nice. And it's a shame they haven't been reused. I know Daisy was kind of like a palette swap of Princess Peach, but the fact of it's some really nice and new and unique enemies. It kept the Mario series franchise. In fact, the Mario, when you look at the 2D ones I said before, they do definitely... These really show the peak of creativity, and the series has really fallen into decay once they start leaving the 2D games, as they stopped introducing original elements and just kind of kept regurgitating. We weren't seeing new enemies, instead we just kept seeing Bowser, and it's kind of lost its way a bit quite badly. Ironically, under the direction of its creator, Shigeru Miyamoto. As I said, if you grew up during the 80s and 90s, you will no doubt have played this opening stage many, many times, and died later on. It's strangely how now, retrospectively playing this, I can finish this game pretty much in one sitting these days without any issues. I always remember this being quite challenging when I was younger, but now that I'm much older, I can just blitz through this game really, really easily. I think the fly is probably the hardest enemy on the first world. But it's a very iconic stage, and one that I think stays with any Super Mario Land player. Do you know, there are actually 100 coins on this stage, but unfortunately I missed a couple. I'm not sure where the last couple were. And yes, every stage apart from the boss stage has 2 exits, and of course you get this rather cool mini game where you can gain 3 lives or a fire flower power up. And depending what state you're in depends which power up you want to go for. You either want to go for the fire flower if you're perhaps little, or go for the 3 lives if you've got the fire flower. So each of the worlds is themed on a different theme, and this one, as you can see, is very Egyptian. This second stage, although we're sort of climbing above the pyramids, the first stage you're sort of running alongside them, and then the third stage we're actually inside one of the pyramids. This second stage is quite a difficulty increase in terms of the original stage, which is a fairly straightforward run along. I tried to get as many of the secret power-ups as I could during this run. I did miss out on a few sort of elevator things and interesting little secrets along the way though, but I did get as many as I could. I actually do slightly different secrets in the 2 different runs. This stage is a lot harder on the actual harder run. This is one of the few stages that I think, because you had an awful lot more of the spear throwing guys. But you see there, the bug enemies in this are completely unique, so it'd be nice if we actually saw reappearance of Tatanga, the main villain, again. I mean, he last appeared in Super Mario Land 2 as a sub-boss and actually had his forces again, because you kind of missed the fact that Mario had different villains originally. Wario as well being weirdly demoted. And yes, if you miss the top one, then sadly you don't get to go to the bonus stage. Because here we are in the third stage, and that's actually an elevator platform bonus. There are a couple of them hidden on this world, and the third world, the second stage. Or it might be the 4th second. So you see there's lots of... Each stage I think has about 2 hidden warp areas. And there's various coins. You do have to be a bit careful. You can often miss out on some of the extras if you... They're very carefully. Some really nice interesting design in this where destroying certain blocks will often prevent you from accessing some of the secrets. So you do have to be a bit careful where you jump and stuff. And then we have the Sphinxes, which are a really nice enemy. They do appear in the hard mode on a few of the other stages, but in this one they largely appear in the normal playthrough, yeah, and I did flummox that jump there for the bonus. For the Sphinxes, I do like the hieroglyphics as well, some really nice designing with this stage. Everything about every stage in this is really, so although they clearly had limited space, every stage is unique, which is what I really like about Super Mario Land. There aren't any regurgitated stages. Cough cough, every other Super Mario game after Sunshine, I think. And we're just coming up on the first boss as well, the lovely Sphinx. I'm actually you can do one of 2 things. You can either hit the switch behind him to destroy the bridge, or you can do this, shoot, if you've got the fire flower, you can shoot him with the fire flower. Although it's not, I think it's technically not the fire flower in this one. It's slightly different how it moves. It also collects coins, which is quite cool. It's a feature, again, I think missing from a lot of the later Mario games. And of course, this is a homage to the original game where, of course, you go looking for Princess Peach or Daisy in this case and she turns into a monster, or in the original Mario game it was the Toads were waiting for you with our princesses in another castle. So here we are, World 2, and again we have a really nice stage with this sort of watery stage. The theme of World 2 is very much aquatic. In fact, the final stage takes place underwater, which is a really nice thing. It's nice to see Mario. I think it's one of the few games where Mario actually pilots additional vehicles, so there was some real originality here that puts Mario design in a very different league to what he's been more recently. It's some really nice concepts here that I wish had been used and reused again and sort of built upon, because they were expanding the Mario franchise in this. You were giving Mario more character, more enemies, more villains, and more things to do and how he plays. There's just some slight mechanical tweaks in this that feel differently to some of the other Mario games. I should say, if you're playing on the Super Game Boy, you do actually get a special colour palette for this one. So the colour palette that you're seeing on screen is actually auto-selected by the Super Game Boy. The Super Game Boy can read the header of certain cartridges and will assign to them a special colour palette. It's basically a colour palette created using this colour palette system, but it's been created especially for Super Mario Land. Super Mario Land 2 had its own custom created colour palette as well, as does Metroid 2, Samus Returns, and there's quite a few other games that do as well. Mainly Nintendo ones. I think Alleyway had one as well. As I found a few sites that had a really good list of all the sort of official colour palettes and bonus features. But yeah, although the game it was made long before the Super Game Boy, it does have an additional. The Super Game Boy seems to check the header and then give itself a special cartridge colour, which is quite a nice touch. Well, I have to admit, I slightly tweaked it, have a slightly different colour palette, which I actually preferred to the official one. You could add in a bit of blue, and then it gave it a sort of... It made Mario's dungarees look blue, and you still had the water blue, so... Nice little touch. But yes, if you don't like the official colour palette, you can of course change it. And I should say, I picked this Super Game Boy 2 background as well, because I quite like this one, the sort of circuitry of the Game Boy, but of course there are various other backgrounds included. There are 8 Super Game Boy 1s, and the Super Game Boy 2 also includes the original Super Game Boy backgrounds as well, so I think there's 16 in total. This stage has some very tricky jumps. You have to be very, very careful, as touching the water is not good for Mario's health. There's also some great bonus coins, as you can see there, if you make it just right. Again, shooting that little tortoise down there. You can run underneath there. There's an invisible platform that you can jump on the edge if you're little to run under and do the lower path if you want, but for this playthrough I'm going to be doing the higher path. And as always, when you get star in this one, it's really good just to use it to run ahead and just crash through as many enemies as you can. Seahorses are a nice little enemy, and they do fire their little sort of flaming fireballs at you, which is quite nice. Of course, you have some classic Mario enemies. I can't quite remember if they're quite Koopa Troopers. They're slightly different, but you do have the piranha plants and the sort of Goombas, but some of the other enemies are completely unique to this game, and often many of them weren't reused as well. I'd quite like a rematch with a modern fight against the Sphinx. Even Wart from Super Mario Land 2. I know he wasn't originally Mario, or Super Mario Brothers 2, I should say. But it would be nice if he was actually reintroduced in one of the Mario games as a villain. Assuming, because seeing as they've been canonised after, I know it was originally a re-altered version of another game in Japan. So here we go with the first aquatic level, which, like, this is the first underwater level, I should say, and the first vehicle stage. It's a really nice stage. Turns it into a bit of a little shoot 'em up, or shmup as some people prefer, and it's actually a really nice stage, and I wish there were more Mario stages like this as sort of mini-game stages. It breaks up the platforming action beautifully. It's a different pace of play to the previous other Mario stages. It just works really well. I do like the little UFOs. I think they're obviously meant to be Tatanga's forces or something landing. But it's a really nice creative touch and makes for a very enjoyable stage that just breaks up the platforming gameplay. It just shows that Mario can have a lot more versatile action. I just wish they appeared in another game. You see there, we've got Seahorses. The octopus you have to be a little bit careful of. If you take them out, they then fire a couple of bullets at you, so they only fire those bullets on death. Just something to be aware of. The bullets as well, you do the sort of fish enemies are clearly based on the bullet bills, and there you got the words Mario, but the fish enemies as well, they do come back around on you, so don't stay at the very back of the screen if you want a little playing tip. I think so far, if you take everything cautiously, it's fairly easy. A few of the later stages you do have to have a slight emphasis on speed because you do run out of time. So this boss is again fairly straightforward. This is the normal version of him, and it's just literally hit him with bullets and dodge that centre one. So basically dodge his shots and dodge the one that keeps floating around in the centre. Okay, on to World 3, which is very much clearly inspired by Easter Island and the statues on it, which I can't quite remember the name off the top of my head, but they're very distinctive designs. And again, another theme stage. A lot of these themes are actually sort of based around real world locations. So we had the pyramids in the first stage, and we've got the Easter Island statues in this one. Right, in this world, I should say. So yeah, the first world, as I said, is the Sphinx, the sort of pyramid. The second world has an aquatic theme. The third world, as I said, has the Easter Island theme, and the fourth world's sort of sky theme. Two of the bosses are in sort of the shooter stages, and the other two bosses are both, the first and the third one are sort of like the run and jump platform ones. Yes, bullet bills are quite prevalent in the later stages, and you just be a bit mindful of them. This isn't quite a perfect run, in case you're wondering. I think I only lost a few lives. I lost a few lives in the hard playthrough that were sort of silly mistakes. But it's not a very hard Mario game in the slightest once you get it down. It's not. It's just learning the various enemy patterns, but it's a really nice sort of length one. You do have to be a bit keep your eye on the time in a couple of the later stages, as they're quite long and you don't get much time to sort of collect coins and look for hidden power-ups and extras. You really have to sort of keep pushing along, but you can just about grab everything along the way. This one you can kind of cheat and jump to the second platform rather than going to the lone one below. You see there are some bonus pipe rooms that are literally full of coins. In fact, there's one that's just complete coins on one of the last stages. A few of them also have power-ups as well, so it's well worth smashing every block if you do have the time and availability. Although it's worth noting, some of these rooms you do need Fire Flower to get the most of the coins out of. There are a couple that are quite tricky, and if you don't have Fire Flower you won't be getting every coin out of. As I said, the difficulty, certainly once you get an experienced Mario player like myself, I've got 24 lives at this point, so lots of extra lives. This is one of the slightly harder bits towards the end of the stage. You've got to carefully jump on those rocks. Just remember they bounce towards you, then bounce away, then hit the thing and then turn around. I did do a few practice runs to get familiar with the game. I think this was one of the areas I died on a few times. This stage is also one that, as you see there, 29 seconds, really running low on time. Oh, that's what I mean about silly mistakes. Okay, this cabin stage is probably one of the hardest in the game. Take it nice and slow. The spiders, you've got to get them to drop. You've got to approach them very carefully. Don't run ahead as they'll try to drop on top of you, but if you get near to them, they will drop. Now again, there are some hidden elevators on this stage as well to take you up, but basically approach near to them and they'll start coming down. But you do need to keep moving as well. Again, this is another long stage, and again, you don't have a huge amount of time. Also watch the ceiling as well. There's a few bits where you will get the spikes drop down. And I always recommend try and clear the enemies before moving to the next section. Certainly if there are enemies that are going to start jumping around or jump towards you, try and get rid of them so you can deal with them without having to worry about where you're going to be jumping and where they're going to be positioned. So there goes one of the ceiling spikes, and again, those bottom enemies have caught me out a few times as well. It's just worth remembering you can drop a jump on them and then you've got to run, but a couple of times later on they will put them on platforms that are just too small for you to run anywhere, so they're run out away from the platform and then take down the sort of jumping spider creature. This last section of the level has a very precarious jumping section, as you saw there, and yeah, I didn't do it that time, sadly. You've got to be extra careful. Usually I find if the first few runs I was being overly cautious on that stage and ended up having next to no time in that last bit, so I was hurriedly doing the jumping. I should add those little gaps you can actually run across. If you're holding down the run button, you can run across. You can't walk across them, but you can run across them. Again, this stage has a lot of very precarious jumps, so you need to be very careful here. And yeah, keep your eye out for hidden blocks. So this section here is probably one of the most nerve-wracking. You've got to be careful where you drop down. Finally, we have the section leading up to the boss. This boss is probably easiest with Fire Flower. If you don't have Fire Flower, it's a little bit more tricky. You have to carefully jump over the rocks then. That is the last power-up on this stage, so if you're not big when you hit that block, you won't be getting Fire Flower for the boss. And you have to do the jump over trick, jumping on his rocks and then jumping over. And in this case, the switch just blows him up. So here we are on the 4th world, and this stage features probably the introduction of the most annoying enemy in the game. In fact, one of the most annoying enemies in the Mario franchise. The ghosts that I believe are based on sort of Chinese legend, that basically the only way to defeat them is if you shoot them with the Fire Flower. If you do not have Fire Flower, then when you jump, or the two ways, shoot them with Fire Flower or have them jump down a pit, which isn't always an option. If you jump on them, they will go small and then will then re-emerge after a little while. So you just be very, very wary. So I see there I've just taken a hit because I wasn't being cautious enough around that one. And they come back. So they are probably the most annoying enemy, and dealing with them as a result is very cumbersome. Take your time with them because they will jump around. You can sometimes lure them into jumping to the pits, but they will continue to jump around and be very annoying. And you do get them in the sway, so at one point you'll even get 3 of them. But see, this is not a very big game. There's only 12 levels in total, 3 for each world. So it really is quite surprising how small a game it is. But as a child, I certainly remember younger, I remember some of the stages, like this stage was incredibly aggravating and always running out of lives. Whereas being a Mario veteran these days, I can just demolish it with only losing a handful of lives. In fact, I think I was slightly annoyed at this run because I think I only lost like either that 1 or 2, maybe 3. I didn't lose many. I lost slightly more on the hard playthrough. I think so. It would have been nice to have got a no-death run, but no worries. It's still technically a 1 credit clear. This game does dish once you get good at it. This game does dish out an awful lot of spare lives from either collecting 100 coins, getting the heart power-ups that are hidden on various stages, or of course actually getting to the secret bonus stage door. So again, here we go, a slightly very precarious bit with this stage as well. You've got to jump on these platforms and jump on the moving platforms as well. Those falling platforms are very tricky. And here we go, another bit where you get the Wusho Ghost at a rather tricky point where you're having to dodge the bullet bills at the same time. There we go, another hidden heart there. This again is quite a long stage, so you do have to keep moving. And yeah, that one you have to remember when you fall into that coin bonus section, you need to hold right. Or have Fire Flower to regain some of them. Here's one of the tricky bits, we have to deal with 3 of them at once. So largely either ignore them or just shoot them with Fire Flower. Don't hang around them. Here we go, jump on that and then just run across. Okay, the penultimate level is probably one of the hardest levels. Again, this is very much like the cavern stage on 3. This one has some very complicated jumping sections towards the end. So this is probably a stage I think a lot of people... And there we go, the hidden full coin room bonus just to get loads of... I think you can get like 2 lives out of this one. Or at least 1 full life. I will be honest, don't hang around these sections for too long. You may want to get as many coins, but trust me to say, if you hang around to get all the coins, you will end up running out. So yeah, you can just about get 2 lives in there. In fact, I would have done had I stayed long. And those snakes there are basically a variant on the Sphinx enemy. This stage again, there are 2 routes, and again, it's helpful to be big as it makes it a touch easier for this part, but later on, the final jumping sections are very tricky. This is the last platforming stage in the game, so they do throw everything at you. And here we go. This section is very much reminiscent of Bowser's Castle from the original Super Mario Brothers, with all the whirling fireballs. So I would advise using that star to your advantage when you get it in this stage. Use it to progress as far as you can. That's probably the only respite you get. This bit here is a bit tricky as you have to basically take the little chap out and then move on. So if you can Fire Flower him, great, you can take him out, but if you jump on him, be mindful that you will have the bomb straight after. And you see there another life room as well. I believe there are 2 bonus pipe rooms in every stage, so there are 2 rooms full of coins. Glorious coins. Oh, the other thing, when you come out of the pipe, it actually removes all the enemies directly around the pipe when you raise. So whether that was a limitation of the actual game or something, but that's something to keep in mind. So again, here I need to jump on a little chap if I jump over, and then I need to quickly move out of the way as well, or just dodge him, run along there. Be careful of the pipes as well with the piranha plants, they can catch up on you, just take your time. And finally, here we go with the exit. Right, here we go, the last stage in the game, which is also another shooting stage. There are technically two bosses at the end. We have the Cloud boss and we have Tatanga. I know they've all got official names, but I can't remember all of them off the top of my head, sadly. It's one of those games, as I said earlier, was very much a nemesis. So it's rare when I was younger I'd get to this stage, but now that I'm older, I said you can just literally get through it very easy. Keep an eye on the where the mushrooms are, very handy to get, and there are 1 or 2 extra lives, although I missed that one. Not that I really need them when I got 38 lives. The final stage is not particularly very hard. It's the penultimate stage you just saw is probably far harder with the platforming. This is very much just shoot. Just have fun. The birds are a little bit tricky as they do deviate. Try to stay as far away as possible from them or go straight for them as they will deviate towards you. Again, don't stay at the back of the stream, stay around not the centre, but I'd say about the back quarter. As you want to avoid getting hit by them. And they will fly towards you, and again the other chaps will drop the bomb. So you see that's my second life loss so far. Not really very challenging. This bit makes sure to be pushing ahead, don't stay back, else that puzzle section will take too long to navigate round. Again with this one, if you are at the back of the stream, you will not have enough time to get through and will get crushed. Because there are some people lazily just think, oh, I'll just fly here and stay at the back. No, you need to push ahead. Just dodge those hammering hands, and then it's on to the boss. So the first one is the Cloud. It just literally throws the birds at you. So here we go with the end of the run. Now I did actually lose a few lives making a few silly mistakes. I don't know why I made them. Just sort of looks like lack of concentration. But the Cloud, basically all you do is just pummel him. Stay away from him at the very start because he flies towards you, but then he goes in a sort of diagonal shape, very easy. And then finally we have Tatanga. Tatanga's actually pretty easy again. His shots do a triple split, and then you just move up or down at the centre of them to go in the gaps that will form in between. If you want to be brave, you can get in close and just bombard him with shots very quickly if you want to try and take him out fast, or you can just sit back and just keep shooting and just keep going in between the gaps, and enough of your shots will hit him, and eventually, voila, you will take him down. And that is it. Congratulations, we've finished Super Mario Land. So I'll let the credits roll, and then I will just provide a brief introduction to the harder version. I don't think I need to provide too much additional commentary. But your quest is over. And we see there Mario gets in a nice little space rocket at the end. I really wish we had a stage in the space rocket. So, little trick about the second playthrough, you will actually notice the icon when you start it is that of Mario's head the second time round to indicate that you finished it once. So this goes with the harder playthrough. It's not a huge amount harder, there's basically a few more enemies in a few places. And that's really about it. It's largely pretty much the same actually, but it's enough harder to note. There's a few stages that are definitely harder. So this opening one, you actually get the Sphinxes on it, and there's a few more Goombas. But it's not that menacing a challenge. As you see there's the jumping, flying insect a lot more. You do encounter some of the enemies quite a bit more in this playthrough. So keeping Fire Flower in the second playthrough is much more handier than in the first one, as there are quite a few bits like there where you've got loads of enemies. And see there, we've got two of them jumping at us from the high platform, one from the high platformer to catch you off guard. I think this was literally my first run at the hard version in a long time. You see there again, now the double jumping bit. Just keep the Fire Flower high and just keep jumping in. And it's actually pretty easy. Again, a little bit of slow down there. I'm not sure if that was caused by the Super Game Boy 2 or is actually an issue on the original Game Boy cartridge. Overall, this hard version does prove to be a bit more challenging, but it's not too much harder. See there, we've got the Sphinx little guy in this stage as well. But at least it's actually quite a nice way to add in well, it's a nice way that they've actually done the difficulty increase by adding in additional enemies. They've not shortened the time or made stuff take more hits, they've just added in more enemies. So you have to be a bit more tactical with how you do a few things. There are on a few of the jumping sections, they're definitely quite a bit harder. The tougher sections have a few more bits where you think, ouch, this is a bit more tricky. But overall, it's not too much more challenging than it was first time. I think this section here is probably one of the hardest because these spike ants, chaps or flying chaps, they don't really appear in many of the other stages at all actually. I think they're predominantly exclusive to this stage, but they're probably one of the most aggravating enemies. You see there you've got lots of them on this stage, so that's something to keep aware of in this harder playthrough. But it's interesting how each of the levels do have their own feel, and a lot of them do have their own unique enemies that you don't see again once you've cleared the stage, which gives you, as I said before, gives you a lot of variety and keeps every stage feeling fresh from one another, which is something a lot of later Mario games lack. Again, that one there, that enemy there, you've got to be careful of. The same with this one. If they fall in the wrong place, they can literally, the platforms can literally raise you into them. You see there, this section as well, lots of them, a bit slow down there. Lots of those guys throwing the spear, so be a bit mindful of them as you're jumping through that section. That's just a taste of what they've added in. It's a few nice tricks you just got to be a bit more aware of. As long as you're on your guard, I don't think the hard version will do too much in the way of increasing the difficulty that much. It's just a great bit of fun to play through. The bosses add in a few additional things, so there was an extra fireball added in for the giant seahorse boss. But all good fun, and it's a nice challenge. It's actually nice to have a round 2. It'd be nice, I think, of some of the earlier Mario games. So I know the original Mario, Super Mario Bros. Had a round 2, but a lot of the later ones didn't. It'd be nice if they did have a slight tweaked version of the game that was just a touch hard. Some of them do. Generally, they don't tend to. Have got to watch this stage here as well, a lot more falling blocks. overall, I don't think the second playthrough is that much harder, but do enjoy this video. I'm going to wrap it up there. I won't say any more, just let you watch the harder playthrough, as I don't think it needs too much. There's just a few bits where you'll notice will be harder. It's great to compare the two versions just to see how they improved it and made it a bit tougher for this second run. But that's it from me. I will say my goodbyes at the end of the video. But I hope you enjoy this playthrough, and as always, if you enjoy our channel, please do hit that like button and subscribe as well. Okay, as promised everyone, here is a little Super Game Boy Easter egg. This is actually the screensaver for the relevant background I'm just about to show. And it's actually included on the Super Game Boy 1 and the Super Game Boy 2, although in the Super Game Boy 2, in order to implement the Super Game Boy 1 background, you actually have to use a little cheat code. But yes, we actually get a little bit of fourth wall breaking action. As you'll notice, Mario pops up in this screensaver, along with Princess Peach and even Luigi, which I think is the only way. This is technically the only way he can appear in either of the Game Boy games. And even then, not a technical true appearance, as of course it's actually on behalf of the Super Game Boy. But it's still a nice little feature. And yes, thank you to those of you who've actually watched the video to get to this part. I suspect one or two of you may have skipped straight ahead to this part, but that's okay. As long as you enjoy watching this, but it takes a few minutes and I show the full loop, and Luigi doesn't appear to the third and final loop of this screensaver sequence. Okay everyone, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this playthrough of both run-throughs through the original Super Mario Land on Nintendo Game Boy. I hope you've enjoyed my playthrough of it. It's not the most challenging game, but certainly when you're younger it's certainly proved to be quite nemesis-serial. I think it's really nice to see all the additional characters they created for this Game Boy version, and it is a pity Nintendo haven't reused some of them and certainly done more creative and original characters as well in the Mario universe. They've certainly lacked creativity in later games, with them often regurgitating Bowser and the Koopa Kids far too much. But as always, I've been your host for this randomised gaming video, Random Gamer Ribbon. I do hope you've enjoyed it. And as always, if you do enjoy our videos, and in particular if you enjoyed this Super Mario Land double playthrough, then can I please ask you to hit that like button? And finally, if you've enjoyed our channel and you like the content on our channel, by all means go through and look at everything on our channel, then can I kindly ask you to subscribe to the channel if you enjoy our content. You don't have to subscribe, it's entirely up to you, but I'm just requesting if you like our content, please do consider subscribing to our channel and keep following our content. Thank you very much everyone. I will see you all in the next video.